Hey there, welcome to part 4, I guess it is, of our plumbing series on the NC Barndo build. We're in the guest bath, and this is turning out to be a little bit more difficult than what it probably could have been because I didn't plan as good for plumbing when we did the framing. My brain was on drywall finishing, and I'm kind of paying the price now. But we're getting a little creative here. We're working in the guest bath. We have the shower set. I had a video on that earlier. We did a Schluter shower pan. We did the drain setup for that, and ran the water lines and the mixing valve and all that good stuff. Catch that video if you haven't watched it yet. Now we're working on the DWV for the Vanity, which I'm sitting in front of, and then the stool, which is off to my right, and we got all kinds of framing issues here. So let me walk you through this and my thought process on how to handle this. There's some trickiness to it. So let me show you. Since I don't have a cameraman, I'm going to lay down and show you guys how we're doing this. So underneath this wall here, our blueprints called for a double joist. For whatever reason, our engineer wanted a double joist, and that's put under this wall. Well, that makes it difficult to run plumbing up through here. So what I've done is I've built a 2-foot pony wall behind it that goes in a closet, and I end up with a little bit of a ledge here, which shouldn't be an issue in the closet. It takes up floor space, but you'll still be able to hang clothes up and not be too tight. But it gives me room to run my plumbing. So my plan is the vanity, the center of the vanity, it's a 48-inch vanity, will be right here. So we need to run our waistline. What we'll do is we'll have a T here. Actually, it'll be right here. And we will end up going back through this portion of the pony wall back here. It's going to come up like this, and then the T will be in here. So that's what our drain line will look like inside the wall for the vanity. I just needed an extra 3 inches over here, and I think that'll work out pretty good. Okay, what I've done here is I've put a mark where my T needs to be centered there. And I've run a 45 up using my square and setting this 45 here and just lining it up with the center here. I've put a mark, got a measurement, put this 45 here, squared it up with a board, and got it to where I needed to be. And we put a mark here and here. We're at 9 inches. Let's see. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. This is just how I'm doing it. So we're going to 45 that this way. T going that way. So that's about where we need to be. And I have a little bit of play here. It doesn't have to be exactly. That's where we're going to be right there. Maybe a 1/4 inch high from where I need to be, but that looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and run with it. All right, we want to square up our tailpiece here with the wall. That's way off. Needs to be. This is my key to getting nice purple lines around your PVC here. Just mark where you need to have the purple, how much you need to prime. All right, we are all set. Let's get this thing glued up. You'll see here we're just putting enough of a tailpiece on here to stub it down through the floor, and then we'll go down and hook it up to the main drain line later on down the road. And then after we get this in, the sanitary tee going up from there will be the vent, which will be stubbed up through the attic. And that's the thought process. I think I've said it before, that's how I'm doing this whole plumbing system. I'm just doing the one floor at a time, the main floor, then going underneath in the crawl space, and then going up in the attic, and then eventually be on top of the roof where it pokes out. And it seems to be, up to this point, working pretty good. So we're going there, straight on up. X marks the spot, and you can see the ceiling joist right above it. Sometimes you just can't win for losing. We're gonna go ahead and drill the hole in that top plate, and then we'll work on moving or framing around the pipe that's gonna come up through that ceiling joist. What I don't show for this part of the project is later on I do hook the ceiling joists back in. I tie them into the joist right next to the one that I cut. Now that we have our shower pan placed, we have our drain set there, we have our drain and vent for our vanity. Next is the toilet. And the issue with this is I have a floor joist running right here, and my toilet flange needs to go about right here. That creates a problem. So what we're going to try to do, since I don't want to move a floor joist, I am going to try to use this offset flange and see if it'll give me enough. This will give you 1.42 inches, or approximately 1 7/16 inches of space. I think that'll get me far enough away from this floor joist where I can use my flange and still keep my toilet 12 inches away from the finished wall, or 12.5 inches away from my framed wall. So the next thing I want to do is make sure I can locate the edge of this joist. I see the screw, I'm assuming that's in the center. So what I'm going to do, I've put a little mark here where the edge of my hole needs to be, and I'm going to drill a small hole through the floor and see if I miss this joist before I put a big 4-inch hole in here, and we'll see how this works. Ooh, that's a good sign. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go under the crawl space, look for that drill bit, and see how much room I have between my drill bit and my floor joists, and see if this thing will work. I'm going to drill a 4-inch hole to slip this down, and then we'll do a 3-inch pipe on the inside of this. So let's go check it out. All right, right here is my drill bit. So we're in good shape. We've missed it by about 1/8 to 1/4 inch. So I think that offset flange will work just fine. Let's go get it installed. All right, I have my center mark on the wall here, so I'm gonna use this carpenter's square. Okay, this is gonna be close here. We're about just a hair over 2 inches, and that joist is right there. So let's, fingers crossed here. Hey, all right. 2, we just missed it. Now I should be able to shave that down. This needs to be dropped down probably 3/4 of an inch. We should be good. 1.5 inches. Oh, that's going to be perfect almost. Oh gosh, how to cut this to make it look right. Okay guys, I think I got this figured out. So my hole here is about 11 inches from the wall, roughly about 11 1/16 over. This offset flange should get me 1 7/16 inches, which will move my toilet away from the wall. But as you can see, this flange won't go in the hole any further, and it's way too high. So what I'm going to do is, I have the center of my hole marked back here on the wall. I'm going to use my carpenter's square, and I'm going to mark the center of the hole here and here. I'm going to take my closet flange. The seam here on the mold is the center, so I'm going to line my hole up on this movable ring here on the center. That'll make this hole on the back side in the center. And I'm going to place it here. with that line that I drew on the floor going through both holes, and I'm going to slide this until that line is on the back side of my ring, which is flush with the back side of my pipe. I'm going to, let's see, I got to extend my line out just a little bit longer. And I'm in the center out there, and I'm going to go get a marker, and I can mark on the inside where I need to cut. So I'm going to take my Sharpie, and there's where my cutout needs to be. I'm going to stay just on the inside of that because this doesn't need to actually sit flat on the floor, but I'll stay just on the inside of this, and we'll scribe that out. Pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty close. Let's see. All right, I think we're pretty good right there. Let's put a 3/4 inch piece around there. All right, guys, you make yourself a little shim. We're gonna put this underneath here, rotate it around so that it fits nice. Nice looking shim. And we put the flange on. I think that looks pretty good right there. 3/4 of an inch up, and our offset, we should be 12.5 from the wall. I think we're in good shape. We're gonna go ahead and screw this to the floor. A little bit of router work, and that makes this offset toilet flange doable. I like the idea of flipping it upside down, and that kind of gets you a rough idea of where you need to route to get the thing set down in. So I think that worked out pretty good. And then you just use your router to make your little donut spacer to go underneath that. So we're 3/4 of an inch up, and I think that'll be good by the time we get our tile backer board in here, and then our thin set, and then the tile on top of that. I think that'll leave the flange sticking up just slightly above the floor level, which is what we want. So I think we're good to go there. The next thing to do is underneath getting the vent plumbed backwards, and then the drain line going forward. So let's take a look at that and see if we can't figure out where this hole needs to be in the wall behind the toilet. Well, I'd be lying if I said that the plumbing was going easy for this toilet. I will tell you the guest bathroom toilet drain waste vent system has been kicking my hiney, but I think we got it figured out. And I'm just marking all my fittings here before I glue them up so I know where to put the purple primer. I really had to do some thinking on this to make it up to code. I originally wanted to use a Y and 45 the vent line back to the wall and up and out. I didn't have enough fall to do that, and I couldn't go horizontal under the floor. You have to be above the flood level rim of the fixture, and since that was the case, I came up with this, which you'll see here, a T, and then elbow it back over. But since I'm not a plumber by trade, I really had to do a lot of trial and error and dry fitting to make this thing work and to get something that I was satisfied with that meets code. But it's what it's all about when you DIY something. There you have it, folks. Up out of the closet flange, down long sweep 90, over to a 3-inch sanitary tee with the 2-inch vent pipe going up that direction. What we'll do is we'll end up putting a 90 on this to shoot it over this way to the main trunk going out of the house. And that is all we have. I'm gonna wait on this 90 and we're gonna cut this later because it's hooked up to the septic tank. I don't want sewer gas backing up into the house. So we're gonna go ahead and do that later. But that's all there is to it here. And then what we'll do over here is put the long sweep or the combo tee in to catch it going that direction. And we should be good to go. That is the stool for now. We're gonna go upstairs and get the rest of this vent pushed through up through to the attic. Now the rest of this project is easy peasy. Now that I got my hole in, run my vent up just like I did with the lav. For the shower, what we're gonna do, this is the P-trap that goes underneath the floor. So I am going to put it in this way, shoot it over to the wall. This will be underneath the floor. We'll shoot it in. It'll go down in 90 over into the main line, which is behind me, and then the vent pipe will come up through the wall. Where we think the center should be. That's the edge. From there should be the center, and then 1 3/4 the center going this way. Well, that pretty much wraps up all of the plumbing for now on the main level. We have all the fixture rough-ins complete as far as the drainage goes. We still have our water supply yet to rough in, but drainage-wise, we're all set on this floor. Everything is stubbed down into the crawl space for the drains and stubbed up through the attic for the vent system. And that's what we'll detail on the next video for you guys. Probably the biggest takeaway or piece of advice that I can pass along from my learning experience on this is for your interior walls, if you can just offset them on the floor joist just a little bit, it makes things so much easier as opposed to being directly on top of your joist. It really makes life difficult when you're plumbing. So take that for what it's worth. That's all I have for you guys today. We'll see you on the next video.